Hey everybody, welcome to Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast. Today I'm joined by Katie Desmond. Katie is the Chief Revenue Officer and partner at Imarc, a premier full-service digital agency that creates strategic solutions for dynamic brands with over 35 employees based in the US. They've been around for 27 years with industry-leading client retention. Her background includes business development, project management, and account leadership. Katie helps clients increase conversions, grow demand, and refresh their brands. Katie's cornerstone approach is taking on every marketing challenge with a carefully thought out custom solution. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Justin. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Katie, tell me, your Chief Revenue Officer, that's your, let's say, that's the air you live and you breathe.
Yes.
How do you think the CRO role and things that CRO are doing is different today with AI in the mix?
Oh my gosh, there is so much that I think we're all kind of challenged with, and everybody's trying to figure out, how do I use AI to better get my data, figure out what those stories, what those trends are, and how can I incorporate it into it? So I feel like there's so much changing, especially at the agency level with the use of AI. Here at Imarc, we think strongly about how can we use AI to do maybe some of the rote tasks while we can still really focus on those strategic tasks. At Imarc, one of the things that we're really focused on is making sure that our KPIs or our clients' KPIs are successful. So we want to craft custom plans that help really drive that. By using AI to really synthesize that data and to understand what some of those trends are, it's been really important. And from a conversion rate optimization aspect, when we're thinking about how somebody lands on a landing page or engages with your brand, there's a lot that AI can help with. You know, before it used to be you would A/B test and see how things performed, react, and change. But now with AI, we can really use AI to predict how things will change instead of reacting. So we can really put that optimized content or messaging out there to really drive those results.
So today, something crazy is happening. While we're recording the podcast, you were hoping this wouldn't be happening, but someone's using a chainsaw in the background to cut down some trees, which our editors are going to beautifully edit out. But this is relevant. Don't you feel like AI's come into the room swinging around a chainsaw, sort of like cutting everything up? Or do you think that people are panicking and they should really drill down into how they can use it effectively?
I think it's the latter, right? I think marketing seems to be ahead of the curve, I would say, when it comes to AI. We're one of the leading industries where we need to figure out, how do we use it? How do we optimize that experience? For one of our clients, what we did is we went ahead and they have translations on their website. So we integrated ChatGPT straight into the back end, right, so that as they're editing content, they can do side-by-side comparisons and include a German version and do that within a matter of seconds, saving them a lot of time and money as well, because this doesn't have to go out to the translation house and be able to incorporating that. So I think with AI, you can't use AI just for AI's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a mandate, we've got to be using AI. You've got to step back and think about, what is that problem we're looking to solve and how can we drive efficiency, drive better results, and think about how we incorporate that. But don't use AI just for AI's sake.
I think there are a lot of people that are using it for AI's sake. And I think the consumer in the end might choose, because I see it popping up all over the place. And I'm like, really doesn't need to be there. Or I don't need to see the AI interface. I mean, one great example is like WhatsApp. I haven't used it once. Have you used the WhatsApp AI integration?
I have not yet, no.
Right, there we go. So as consumers, we're sort of seeing so much of it, and we're going to basically pick and choose what we like to use. But that sounds really cool. So you're using it on the back end for the clients, so translation effectively happens in real time.
Exactly. And we also, aside from just designing and developing public facing websites and doing paid media and SEO for our clients, we do also design and develop applications. And so we have one application here in the Boston area for a medical center. And basically what happens is those users will submit research articles. And previously they would have two people go through, review the articles, and decide if it moves on to that next phase. So what we've done instead is we've incorporated AI into the back. So ChatGPT will go ahead, review that article, decide if it should move on to that next step and whether or not to incorporate that. We still have the second person there because you can't have AI running off on its own.
Right.
But we have that second person there to really justify and vary it. But again, this is reducing the amount of time that humans need to focus on and do these rote tasks so they can really focus on that more strategic work.
When you say about checking it and let's say QAing it, right, quality assurance,
right?
How do you train the team to pick out on certain things? Because I've certainly seen hallucination, right? Things going a bit wrong. The more, right? We had proof of that earlier in our chat before we began. I've seen, let's say like models get really confused. They kind of cross-pollinating answers and data and you get a load of mumbo jumbo. What are there any like key things to pick out there?
I mean, the human interaction, you just can't let this kind of roll off and let it be. You know, if we want to continue to optimize for the web and deliver those great results or look at how we're increasing efficiency, you've got to continually check in on it, right? Make sure it's performing the way that you expect it, make those revisions if not. Think about it almost in an agentic way and how we can incorporate that relevant information that's relevant to that medical center so that it is reviewing the proper content.
Amazing. Great. And let's move on to, let's say, you know, what your client work. So, are you seeing any bottlenecks at the moment in typically with the client work? Let's say the client are coming to you with particular problems. What are you seeing right now?
You know, I feel tons of marketing company or tons of marketing departments are feeling the pressure of budgets, right? They're all been asked to reduce budgets. We're in uncertain economic times. How are we going to support that? How are we going to drive that efficiency? So I think that's one thing that we're all very conscious of and something that we need to figure out. How can we use AI as an agency so that we're still competitive and still delivering that value? So there's tools like Cursor that we can use to start to spin up some code, just kind of scaffolding it out. While at the same time, our UX designers and visual designers are thinking intensely about that customer journey and what are those touch points. Kind of going back to what I said earlier as well, we can plug into AI to also predict what those touch points would be, again, rather than reacting to what is happening based on what we've seen.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. You said something earlier that you guys are also focusing on the display side of things, or let's say you're running campaigns for clients as well. Is that right?
Yes.
So let's just take a step back. Let's say if we can go back as far as 3 years and then maybe look 18 months back, something in that time scale. What's the split now? What are people investing into? What sort of campaigns do they want to run?
You know, we're still doing a lot of paid media campaigns specific to product information that our clients are looking for or seasonal information. So we haven't seen a big shift in necessarily the planning or the seasonality of the work. But I would say the shift is probably more in the optimization because using AI, you can optimize things fast and quick and therefore drive those great results.
And is it like search or display or there being socials?
Search, display, social's probably going to become more and more important in the land of AI. Yeah. If you think about AEO, we know that click-throughs to websites are dropping. So I think it's going to be really important to kind of have those walled gardens where users can go and start to engage with your brand. We're also a B2B agency, and one thing that was rampant that we were seeing throughout 2024 was that the sales process is happening long before our clients even reach out to us. So they're going and they're looking and they're researching us probably 6 months in advance. They're finding out all of the information. All of the studies indicate that a lot of times they have already made a decision before they have hit your contact form and reached out to you.
They've already made the decision before that happens.
Yes. So being able, one of my goals is really to use tools like ZoomInfo so that I can get into that conversation earlier rather than later and be part of it.
Future Fuzz is sponsored by SalesSource, B2B pipeline management and sales growth for your business.
So Katie, what you're telling me is that from your experience that you're seeing users buying into a product or service way before they even hit that contact form.
Exactly. So Justin, I want to be clear. They're usually making a decision and then they contact you, but their mind is already made up.
The mind is already made up. And how many times might they engage prior to the organization without them even knowing? How many times could that be? Like 2, 3, 10?
When you think about the B2B sales cycle, it's typically pretty long. Here at Imarc, it can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And I will see folks hitting our website using a tool like ZoomInfo and seeing those insights and seeing that they're coming back multiple times. They're very engaged and clicking on all of our newsletters. So my challenge is really trying to think about how can I get in front of them and engage with them earlier on so that Imarc is their final choice.
Amazing. Do you think then that sales conversation and that sales call that's been so crucial in a sales process in B2B, do you think that's gone a little bit?
I think it's still going to be part of it because there's still, what's the differentiation between AI and humans, right? It's still that connection. It's still that relationship. If somebody's going to hire us to do a website redesign project, they're likely going to be working with us for at least 6 months. So what is the chemistry? What is that like? Do you really understand my business? How are you going to uncover it? So those conversations are still valuable. My goal is to get that conversation.
Yeah, great, 100%. And in the same vein, do you think this human connection, of course, is super important, and we could maybe go on to authenticity a bit later, which I see is trending more and more on LinkedIn, for example. Do you think there are any marketing specific roles that are going to be less important with the AI landscape?
I think there's going to be a big shift in a lot of the entry level roles. I think tools and, as folks are graduating from college, it's going to be more important to say, how can you leverage ChatGPT? How can you help me do things more efficiently? How are your prompting skills? How are you identifying a need or analyzing data? It's going to be a shift in skill set. And I feel like that's something that's going to start at entry level and then over time is going to trickle up throughout the organization.
Yeah, I love it. We're definitely getting our team trained up in prompting courses.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's good fun as well, right?
It is. And there's also a trend. We know the younger generation is really using voice search. And what AI is teaching us is that our prompts or our queries are getting a lot longer because we're getting more specific. So I think that's going to be an interesting trend that we'll be watching throughout the years as well.
I wonder if prompting will become longer in general and questions will become longer in general.
Right. Longer conversations.
Yeah. And now that voice is, getting better and better and better at understanding different accents and, and dialects and whatever, that I definitely do use voice way more than I used to. I would say that for sure.
As a quote unquote older generation, we were taught text search. But yeah, I think it's something that we'll all be diving into as well.
Great. So you're expert in B2B. Do you think there's a general trend also in B2B in 2 areas? So one of those would be authenticity. Mm-hmm. How can B2B brands and how can B2B organizations be more authentic? And where do you think things like video sit within that journey?
Number one, to be authentic, I think, I heard a good quote at a conference last year, and it was like, if you use ChatGPT to write all of your content and you don't edit it and you don't change it, what's the difference? If somebody else writes the same prompt, they're going to get the same content. So why should somebody engage with your content versus somebody else's? So that authenticity, I think, is really important. And Justin, I know you touched upon that on LinkedIn because we're seeing LinkedIn. I'm seeing a lot of folks using it almost as a professional Facebook, the way that we used to use Facebook in terms of updates and what's going on in our lives. You're seeing more and more of that on LinkedIn, and that's what's getting folks to engage. So being authentic, they don't want just something that ChatGPT has given them. Maybe there's some insights from ChatGPT that we've pulled out, but using our skill set and our strategic minds to come together with that analysis and those final recommendations, that's where the value is.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I'm definitely one of those LinkedIn Facebookers.
Yes.
I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter anymore, which is now X.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about LinkedIn. Why not, right?
Definitely.
And then how about looping your B2B organizations relying more on video, you think?
I think that is going to be more and more a focus that we're going to have to be able to deliver on. I think B2B's been a little hesitant, but if you're using video to say do customer testimonials, there's that authentic connection that we can incorporate there. So thinking about what is that value for the end user and how do we deliver it, I think is going to be important. Demos are still going to be important, could still be a top converting tool to get folks into your lead funnel, that top of funnel experience. So there's a lot that we could still do with video. I feel like B2B is always behind B2C, but I feel like we're catching up quickly.
Yeah, it always feels like that there's always feels like there's a bit of a catch up moment, a bit of a disconnect.
It definitely does, but it's interesting because sometimes I wish I was a B2C marketer because it feels like that conversion's so much faster.
Yeah.
Versus the B2B sale where it's 3 to 6 months and there's larger buying committees and how do you provide content along the customer journey for each buyer. So there's a lot to consider there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It does feel like a drag sometimes, right?
Yes. Sometimes I'm impatient.
But the B2C world is you get like this fast gratification.
Exactly.
But then you have to scale it. Then you need the numbers.
Yes.
So I think in the B2B world, there's always that pressure of, man, we need to hit the B2C, sorry. We need to hit the big numbers. And in the B2B, it's just the grind. But then you get the one hit and you're like, well, we're done because we got, got the one hit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's that larger sale that you're going after.
Great. Amazing. Good. So Katie, you've got one of the best client retention levels in the business. So you started the agency 27 years ago. Your first ever client is still with you.
Yes.
Your retention.
I'm very proud of.
Yeah. Fantastic. What's the secret?
I think it really lies down back to that authenticity, good customer service. We have account managers that are always thinking about our clients' needs, how we are supporting them. We also work very closely with our clients to identify what those KPIs are. So it's not just us saying, this is what you should be looking at. That's part of it. But really, we want to work with them because we want them to be successful and to truly drive those business outcomes. When I think about Imarc, I want to be the team that a client could say, oh, no, they brought in this much revenue. Why would we ever kick them off the bench? So that's something that I'm really focused on is how can we make the biggest business impact for our clients?
Do you sometimes have to dish out a few hard truths as well?
We like to say that we politely challenge our clients. I do say often that we're the experts in our business, and when you're the experts in your business and we collaborate together, that's when we find the best results. We do website design and development day in and day out, as well as digital marketing and paid media. So we know what works, and we can take our experience from other clients and say, we can do it this way, but we did it this way for somebody else and they got more leads. So really thinking about how can we kind of push and pull there.
Good. That's a really nice way of saying it, like a push-pull approach. And forming a bit of trust, right, without annoying or upsetting anyone, and then always striving to, push for the results at the end of the day. Because I guess, right, clients, they are looking at the performance, they're looking at the return on investment.
100%. They're walking into their boardroom and they better have the numbers to support why they made this spend. When I think about marketing tends to be a department where money goes out-house, but we really want to be thinking about marketing as that tool where we're bringing money in-house. So it's not a cost center anymore, but really a value driver.
Great. And I've noticed in the agency, you've got obviously a very authentic and strong team behind you. And I'm sure they're all going to listen to the podcast when it goes out, right? So we're going to have 30 people from the company listening, and they're going to share it on with the friends and their family.
Yeah.
When you build that team over the years, what is the DNA that you're looking for with someone to join the organization?
Gosh, it is such a special cocktail that we talk about. And
He called it a cocktail, so they have to enjoy a drink every now and again.
Well, we work hard, so we like to have a little fun as well. But really, I think it's about passion, which sounds so cliche, but a lot of times we'll have some very heated debates internally, not in front of the clients, trying to figure out the best way to do something. And I think that's when everybody can bring in their expertise. We also have a team that's really committed to always learning and always innovating. So, while we do website design and development, as I mentioned, we also do application development. And that really lets our developers to really stretch themselves and do that more complex development, which we can then bring back into some of the websites that we work on as well. So I think there's a lot of great momentum there too. But also it's just about being open to other ideas, not having an ego, and really collaborating and working together. As the CRO, I am always pitching and trying to bring in new business, but at the same time, the client doesn't always want to hear from me. If they've got a development question, they want to hear from my director of engineering, and I want that person to engage. Again, you mentioned trust earlier. It's all about building trust. How do you engage with somebody if they're going to commit to you, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars working with you? You've got to make sure that they feel comfortable with you.
Yeah, that's golden. So having the trust as well to bring in the team, just to say, okay, the floor is yours. They want to talk to the expert, like, here you go.
They're smart. There's no B team. We've had clients say there is no B team at Imarc. So I feel very confident with all of them.
Amazing. So A team, you're listening to the show. Make sure you give us 5-star rating as well, right?
Definitely.
Katie, time flies when do that again. I'm going my words, blah, blah. Katie, time flies when you're having fun. Thank you so much for joining the podcast today. It's been absolutely brilliant. Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find us or find me on our website, imarc.com, IMARC. And, feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in and making the choice to listen to this podcast. If you liked what you've heard today, please don't forget to subscribe.